Although there are tons of fantastic anime set on this plain old planet Earth that we find truly fantastic, sometimes the greatest series kick off with a complete reset. Death and reincarnation of our MC into a world that turns out to be more magical than you'd think. We love it, and so do you. Problem is, you've probably seen all the big names. Great to see you here at Animeology. We've got some fantastic recommendations for you that you probably haven't seen, but definitely need to check out. The anime we have for you with the main character that gets reincarnated in the magical world are shows you do not want to miss out on. Number 10. Okasan Online. Now, this gets a bit strange with its core concept, but we guarantee you that watching the first episode will hook you with ease. One of the more original adventure fantasy comedy adventures has our MC reincarnated into a strange and foreign world with none other than his actual mother. Oh, I can hear you all groaning from over here, but don't worry. Masato's mother may be the same loving and annoying parent that she was in the real world, but funnily enough, she is way more overpowered than her teenage son. You can imagine that this is one of the more original series we've seen in a long while, and it naturally lends itself to some absolute comedy gold. The young man is reincarnated into a magical isekai world, surrounded by a harem of 3 beautiful girls that join his adventuring party, only to be held back by his actual mother. Not to mention that she is actually way more powerful than him. Okasan Online practically writes itself. Looking past the comedy, there is a legitimately heartwarming sense of growth between Masato and his hilariously overpowered mother. Not to mention a brilliant series of uplifting adventure and some very world building. Okasan Online is an essence that is really hard to capture. Do yourself a favour and see for yourself. Number 9. Angel Beats. This series starts off pretty tame in a classic high school setting, but quickly ramps up the setting and the story in no time at all. Set in the afterlife, Angel Beats takes a close look at the dead that have experienced some serious emotional trauma and suffering during their lives. This strange limbo-type setting is revealed to us through the eyes of Yuri, an innocent and confusing hero that is suffering from amnesia. With no idea what he has done in the real world and what trauma led him to the fantasy world of Angel Beats, Yuri gets caught up in an interesting battle between celestial beings. The inhabitants of Angel Beats' limbo realm are unhappy with their situation, and Yuri is invited by a beautiful and mysterious girl to join the Afterlife Battlefront, an organization that rebels against God and the angels for the unfair circumstances of their life. Angel Beats uses this high school setting and some pretty epic battle scenes to tell a very deep-running and heartfelt story about suffering, isolation, and depression. Don't worry, the focus isn't too heavy on these themes as the story itself goes to really interesting places. Definitely one of the more interesting worlds we've seen an MC reincarnated into. Number 8. Knights and Magic. This can be considered a modern classic, spreading across and seeing a huge level of success from manga to light novels to an absolutely brilliant anime series that you need to check out. Knights and Magic is carried on the shoulders of its well-considered and structured world. Set primarily in the fantastical kingdom of Femi Villa, we follow a software engineer, Tsubasa. A huge mecha anime fan, Tsubasa gets involved in a horrible car accident and finds himself reincarnated into a magical medieval world filled with huge, all-powerful mechs. These mechs are called Silhouette Knights. Yes, which is a very cool name, and are used to battle these horrific demon beast type creatures. Fortunately, Tsubasa is born as the son of a wealthy nobleman, with an insane level of magical ability and enrolled into a magic school learning how to pilot these powerful silhouette knights. The show slowly starts to expand outwards and we meet more and more interesting characters from the kingdom of Femivilla. We also start to learn more and more about the vicious and ruthless beasts that constantly attack the kingdom, as well as some internal political strife. Number 7. Punchline. This is one of those series that will have you laughing from the very first episode. Absolutely brilliant, Punchline walks the line between good-natured and extremely dirty as we follow the horrifyingly hilarious life of Yuta. Living in an apartment with 3 other girls, Yuta gets involved in a bus jacking gone wrong and gets ejected from his own body, and becomes a ghost spirit. Yuta soon realizes that the world around him is actually a lot more magical than he thinks, and becomes the perfect entry point for us to learn about this world of spirits, spirit powers, and great evils. Slowly, Yuta learns to master his spirit powers and attempts to protect his housemates from some pretty strange and potentially dangerous situations, but of course, life isn't that easy, as Punchline throws us a curveball that could destroy the entire world. Some great darkness? A vicious villain? Actually, if Yuta sees a girl's panties twice in a row, the Earth will be destroyed by a meteor. It really is as hilarious as that, as Punchline takes us on a hilariously awkward yet sometimes wholesome adventure that you should not be missing out on. Number 6. World Break. A pretty epic world with some extremely well done high fantasy and some insane stakes that our heroes need to overcome and succeed. This anime really flows by quickly and left us wanting more and more. Based on a brilliant manga and light novel series, World Break is a series you need to check out. Set primarily in the Arcane Academy, a school that trains its students to defend against vicious and deadly monsters that constantly attack humans. The heroes, or saviors as they're called, are actually reincarnations of extremely talented and highly skilled individuals. These students are reincarnated with memories, and their past lives are divided into students that master magic and swordplay. We follow Mohora, a student that is reincarnated with memories of 2 past lives. Unlike any other student, Mahora is set to be a master swordsman and magic user, and is said to be one of the greatest warriors on the planet. The talk of the school, Mahora instantly gets snapped up and becomes a member of the elite team at the Akane Academy. Some light elements of harem are included, but the strong action focus is the real highlight of World Break. With some insane monster design and brilliant fight scenes, we were glued to our seats. Number 5. Is This a Zombie? More of a dark comedy than anything, this is a series that will take you on a real emotional rollercoaster. With a single episode, you'll find yourself laughing, crying, and biting your nails. Based on a series of highly successful light novels, anime really needs more emotional concepts like this one. We learn of Ayumu, a zombie that gets resurrected by a powerful necromancer after he gets murdered by a vicious serial killer. Slowly learning the limitations and strengths of his new zombie reincarnated life, world building really starts to open up, as we learn about vampires and demons. At its core, Is This a Zombie? Is heavily steeped in mystery, with Ayumu trying to learn more and more about the mystery behind his death and the motivations behind the brutal serial killer that murdered him. Slowly, more and more characters start sharing screen time, and we start to see some absolutely fantastic interpersonal relationships develop. Number 4. Erased. Opting for a more mature and slow-paced narrative, Erased is a series that really likes to take its time, but the wait is definitely worth it as the insanely intricate and well-crafted mystery thriller makes this one of the greatest anime series we've come across in a long time. In fact, the series itself was so good that the manga and the anime also spawned a live-action film and a Netflix TV show. But trust us when we tell you that the anime is the peak of Erased, learning about a young man by the name of Satoru that possesses an insane time-jumping ability called Revival. This power triggers moments before a life-threatening incident, allowing Satoru to replay the last few moments and prevent it from happening. The story kicks off with the murder of Satoru's mother. This sends him 18 years into the past and grants Satoru the opportunity to save his mother, but also help prevent a kidnapping that occurred many years ago. Erased is a brilliant manga that develops in a highly mature and very interesting fashion. The characterization aside, the raw narrative is so thick and compelling that as a viewer you don't have time to focus on much else. Number 3. Recreators.
君の創造主はまだ見つからぬか。
Perhaps one of the most relatable setups to an action fantasy series that you'll ever come across, Recreators has us following a young high schooler and anime fan that aspires to one day write his own novel. Watching the anime adaptation of one of his favourite light novels, Sota's tablet starts malfunctioning. Sota finds himself reincarnated into a very familiar world. Very much like the anime he was watching, but with many other characters from other series he was watching and manga he was reading. An interesting blend, Recreators looks to comment on the Japanese entertainment industry while bringing us a highly captivating and intense series. Recreators masters the perfect juggling act of solid social commentary, interesting plot, brilliant character chemistry, and some epic fight scenes. There's nothing more that we ask for, and there's nothing more that you're looking for. Do yourself a favour and give Recreators a watch. Number 2. Dog and Scissors. Although heavy on comedy, this is a series you don't want to miss out on, bringing a really original and very interesting story that is a bit on the dark side and more mature side than you'd originally think. Although not purely psychological, this is a series that really pushes some boundaries, but we love it nonetheless. Following the high schooler Kazuhito after he is shot and killed during an armed robbery. A huge fan of reading, he is filled with the intent of reading his favourite author's last book. Fortunately, the gods smile on Kazuhito and he gets reincarnated as a dog that soon gets adopted by his favourite writer and the woman he just saved. The only person that can understand him in his newly reincarnated dog form, we slowly start to realise that the author may be beautiful but is also slightly twisted and a little sick that really enjoys torturing Kazuhito with scissors. As we said, it's fun and original with a lot of laughs in store, but it's hard to ignore the inherently dark and twisted nature of the series. We guarantee that a show like this doesn't come around often and is definitely worth a watch. And number 1, By the Grace of Gods.
体内の魔力が流れるイメージで。
An absolutely brilliant series that's uplifting, motivational, and had us running back for more. Although a reasonably new anime series, the original source material has been around for a while, stemming through highly successful mangas and light novels into one of the best new animes out there right now. Learning of a young man, Ryoma, that lives a lonely and difficult life until he died in his sleep due to an unfortunate accident. Awoken in the afterlife, he is greeted by 3 gods that all really like him and opt to reincarnate him as a child with an insane level of knowledge and abilities alongside the gods' personal blessings that guarantee him a life with challenges and good meetings. A dream come true, honestly. By the Grace of the Gods doesn't look to get bogged down with a heavy story or intense save-the-world type action. Instead, the series opts for a slice of life and a light-hearted approach. Episodic issues get wrapped up nicely as we soon start to meet more and more interesting and pleasant characters. No stress, no drama, good, clean fun, told through the eyes of an engaging and lovable MC. You should be watching by the grace of the gods.